Hey guys, so we'll start the workshop now. And I guess you got an idea about security files from this minutes of workshop, and now we'll go to the next bit, which is Horizen. So if you don't know the history of Horizen, so we've been a chain and we have our own token called Zen, and it's been more than 7 to 8 years that we're live. And now recently on 23rd of July, we've made a huge migration. So from an L1 now we have become L3 on base. So there is some of the details of the tokens that we have. So the Zen token is now live on base. So if you want to do something on that, you can have a check. So Horizen is unique chain. It's not your normal EVM chain anymore. So it's an L3 which is based on base. We know base is one of the most famous L2s with most of the liquidity. And when it comes to an L3, which is built on base, so it's kind of a privacy first, where we are giving the developers a lot of toolkits for building privacy, be it BZK, T, FHG, MPC, any of those. So along with that, it's an EVM-based chain, as usual. So all the smart contract that you can deploy on any of the chains like Ethereum, Arbitrum, Optimism, or even Base can be deployed here as well, with the addition of the toolkits that we provide. So for this hackathon, it's basically a tie-up between Verify and Horizen, and we expect almost all of you to have a knowledge and kind of experience with the tech. And we wanted to build applications on ZK that will be deployed on Horizen. Now, we'll explain a bit more on the architecture of Horizen. So as I told, it's not the simple L2 or L3 that you have known. So how many of you knows about OP stack? And how do you know how it works internally? Okay, I can just show you a diagram. Leaf is number 5. All the other parts are of the OP stack. So in an L1, what happens is when a block is created, it needs to be validated by all the different nodes of the blockchain, and then it is added to the main L1 blockchain. But in an L2, what happens is we basically take the transactions, and basically there's a sequencer which sequences it. There's a batcher which batches all the transactions, and then we settle it on the L1. So basically we propagate the state of the L2 chain to the L1 chain, thereby compressing like thousands of transactions into a single transaction on the L1. Right? So L3 is something similar to that, where we compress a lot of transactions on the L3 to the L2. But when it comes to Horizen, we have something called as a OP enclave. So this is built on top of OP stack. So if you know a bit about OP stack, so how it works is as it is like optimistic kind of rollups. So what happens is when I submit a transaction on it, it takes like 10 days to basically till like anyone can come and they can like challenge the transaction that it's their first transaction. And because of that, the transactions which is sent between the L1 and L2. So think of you want to bridge some Ethereum from Ethereum main chain to base or like any OP stack chain. And the vice versa, it takes a lot of time because there's a lot of withdrawal process, challenging all these things. But with Horizen, we have an T. So if you don't know T, so think of it's like a black box where you can execute any kind of code operations. So you have your own custom code written in any language, and we kind of execute it inside the T. And then basically we can confirm that the code that we deployed on the T was successfully running, and this is the result of that. And that's basically given in a cryptographically as well as on a hardware manner. So all the famous like CPU manufacturers like Intel, AMD, ARM, they have their own T implementations. And like for our OpenAPI, we use AWS Nitro NPM. So if you know about AWS, so they have their own T called as Nitro NPM. So we use it. So we'll just explain a bit more on the user workflow, but let's understand a bit more on the component side of things. So as I told, like there's a sequencer. So instead of sequencer for the L3, we have named this as a proposer. So what happens is it takes like all of your transactions. So think of all the transactions that you're making on the L3. It will take all of your transactions, and then instead of like proving it or kind of executing it locally, it like does it on an AWS Nitro T. And when you execute over there, you can get an attestation. This is the result of it. So you take the previous block, you apply some of the transactions on it, and then you get the future block, right? The next block. as all these things happens inside a T, it's kind of like provable. And then the batcher basically batches all the transitions of the L3. So like the thousands of transitions that happen inside a block, everything is compressed and it is sent by the batcher to the L2. So there are some of the minute details. If you want to read, you can do it. And for now, the TLA for Horizon is AWS S3. So we are closer into AWS right now. But in future operations, we'll be moving to more DLAs like Listia and Eigenlayer, all of those. So right now, how it works is if you want to withdraw, so this is a kind of withdrawal mechanism explained here. So if you want to withdraw some of the Ethereum from the Horizon L3 to base L2, so you will send the transaction to the sequencer, and the sequencer, if it finds that it is a withdrawal transaction, it will send it to the batcher, and then we submit the batch to the base L2. And then, as I told, the proving happens inside a T in play, and the output is again verified on base. And because of this, what happens is when you try to transfer some assets between base L2 and Horizon L3, the finality is like 10 seconds. So instead of waiting for 10 days, you just wait for 10 seconds to get the finality of the machine. So that's the one of the great thing about Horizon and why it's good. There's a lot more things coming up. So see we can share that. Yeah, so here we go. So basically, in Q1 of 2025, we signed that we're gonna make a big move to the base L3, and we successfully did it. Like as I told on July 23rd, we basically did the migration, and now we have the testnet running. And then on the Q4, that will basically be a great launch to us. So we'll be adding a native TE support. As I told, there's already a TE on the OP enclave, but we'll be having a TE just for Horizon L3. So all the smart contracts can do private transactions, all the private computations. So all your private DeFi stuff, private gaming, private AI can be now done in the TE enclave itself. And all the ZK Wi-Fi is closely linked with Horizon, so all your ZK apps can also be separate with this as well.
What's the rationale for doing an L3 versus an L2 in this case? Because I mean, like, base doesn't has a guaranteed exit window right now.
Yeah.
So if the sequencer dies, like, basically you can't withdraw your money out.
Yeah.
So it's just its own.
But here, like, as we're having a TE, right, so we don't need centralized party of sequencers. Anybody can go to the TE and can ask for a proof. It's basically a stateless party.
I see. But
when you use an L2 sequencer, it has its own state, and it tries to do something on that. While the TE enclave is a stateless thing.
Yeah, so I'm like wondering why do you want to settle on base, why not just on ETH mainnet itself?
Because we want the liquidity of base.
But I mean, like, it wouldn't be like ETH mainnet have more liquidity than base in general.
No, but we want to basically bridge all the applications and all of those. We wanted to have this. And there's one more thing that we want to have flash blocks which base supports. These don't support it right now. And like when you build an L3 on base, you've got a whole of the like base app, to say all the functions and applications which base supports, it automatically is generated to your L3. So in the future implementation in the next 2-3 weeks, so this particular testnet just went live like a week back. So we are adding a lot more functions. So all the applications that you see on base, like flash blocks and all those optimizations, will be applied to the L3 as well.
So wait, so it's basically a subset of base functionality. So if I guess in terms of developers wise, right?
Yeah.
So why shouldn't they just deploy on base and why should they deploy on Horizon?
Yeah. So basically, as I told, like we'll be adding a lot of privacy toolkits. So like when you have so basically none of the other chains have a TE implementation right now natively. Horizon will have it in the next quarter. We have ZK closely linked to it, which most of the chains don't have till now, as well as like we can have supports for FHE and MPC operations as well. So it's basically a privacy-focused app chain.
Okay. So for privacy focus, I mean it's ultimately an OP stack, right? So you still have like your address and your basically your address and like your all your blocks, and so is there like any obfuscation on those fronts? So when you
can do it basically, but it's on the developers on how they want to implement it. So as we're adding a TE to it, so developers can use that to basically make private any of the things that you want for the transactions, for the applications.
But by privacy, like, oh, what kind of privacy do you mean? Do you mean like you said to deploy something like a tornado cache on top of like Horizon, or the privacy, or there's some kind of core functionality within like the base, the Horizon L3 itself?
Yeah, so there will be days like this will be native functionality of the TV, which any smartphone can access to. That's the main use case.
I see. So this is not up yet.
Yeah,
Okay.
it will be up in the next one. Very close.
So in the roadmap there is private compute. So you will be using like Java library or something like that, or you will be building your own like
We have our own team stuff that we are building. We'll just use that. We can support Java libraries and all, but that's on the future side of things.
And FHEs and MPCs are in the pipeline.
In the end, everything is in pipeline, but we are going first with ZK and T. Not much on the development side of things for this because I guess everybody here knows how to deploy smart contracts on any EVM. So you can just go to Horizen Logs, you can have the chain ID, RPC, symbol input, block explorer. I guess this is most of the stuff you want. And if you want, like if you have base tokens, also Ethereum tokens on base L2, you can bridge it. So we deployed a small bridge for this hacker house, so you can go and do that. Or you can contact me or it's Joel. We have Horizen testnet lead, so you can send you that as well. And like there's not much to talk about the development stuff. You can just follow this. There's nothing new. Just how to use Foundry and deploy on Horizen. The thing that I want to focus on right now is basically you'll be building ZK applications that should be natively tied to kind of Horizen. That is, we expect kind of Web3 ZK applications, which are deployed on ZK Verify and Horizen. So we need to understand a bit of the workflow of how it works. So Melissa in the morning gave a good understanding of how to submit proofs to ZK Verify, but now I'll extend it a bit on how to like connect it with Horizen and all of those. Yeah, so this is kind of the architecture of how ZK Verify works. So this is the main chain that we have, and you submit all your risk 0, graph 16, NOAA, SPN proofs to the main ZK Verify chain. I guess all of you are like familiar with it. Now the next thing, what happens is like if you remember while building with the relay, you had a function called as with aggregation or without aggregation. So when you build without aggregation, it is just verified on ZK Verify, and it is not communicated to any other chains that you want. But when you build with aggregation, it is verified on ZK Verify, and the aggregated proof receipts are kind of sent to other chains as well. So right now we support multiple chains. So these are the supported networks that we have. So you have Horizen, Ethereum Sequoia, Arbitrum based Sequoia, Optimism and Energy. You can right now send to any of this, but we will for this hackathon, I guess we will support Horizen first. So you can use the aggregation to send it to Horizen.
When someone wants to be eligible for Horizon, run.
Yeah. So basically, you should
price.
deploy smart contract on Horizen, which basically verify the aggregations from ZK Verify. So how it works is basically, I guess like we already have this knowledge. So the only thing that we need to change in the code is while sending the parameters to the relay to verify the proof, you need to give the chain ID to which you want to send the proof attestation. So over here, I've given Sequoia, so you can try on that. So like it's triple one, so same chain. So now once your code is completed, so you'll get like this aggregation.json. So these are like all those details which we want to verify. And to make things simple, we have a documentation to share with. So we have this documentation. So basically we have our own contracts deployed on all of those chains we told. We have it on Horizen, we have it on Base, Sequoia, Arbitrum, Optimism, all of those. And you just need to call this verify proof aggregation and pass all those details which we got in the aggregation file that you saw. And it will return a true or false. And a few considerations you have to make out here is that to make your smart contract false proof, you should natively calculate the hash of the leaf. So now how this works is, so whenever you verify a proof on ZK verify, it will every time get a unique leaf to say. And this leaf is basically a hash of the proving system ID, which is basically kind of like for each of those, like we have fixed it, so you can see out here. So for gross section, it's just a keycat hash of the gross section string. Same for S0 and more.
And does it support SP1 also?
We just support S0.
It's not much.
Yeah, because it's in, like all the things are moving very fast. We do support Ultra Honk as well. Those are not updated.
Yeah, we didn't get to have the time to do the documentation of how many progress is there.
Yeah, so basically, you need to take hash of which system you're using, the V key hash. So basically, every verification key that you submit for verification has its own hash. And for version hash, like, so we do support multiple versions for RISC-0 and SP1. So whenever you're trying to do some verification with RISC-0 SP1, you need to have the version hash over here. And at the end, this keycat hash is basically the hash of the public outputs of the circuit. So when you try to play with RISC-0 or SP1, this thing is already provided by the ZKVM. While you do it with Ultra Honk or Circom, you need to calculate it manually. So basically, the user needs to pass it as a function, as a function argument, and you need to hash it and use it like this. I can also show some examples for. Yeah, so if you want to do something with SP1, yeah, so basically you already have an output like this where you have the image ID, public inputs in the proof. So the image ID is very well key.
Yeah.
So in Circom and Clock 16 introduction, it becomes verification key. But in RISC-0 or SP1, we call this as image ID. So when you basically run the SP1 script, which is given in this tutorial, at the end of it, you'll get a JSON file. Something like this. This is basically an JSON file of the proof,
Yes.
your image ID and the key hash, and you can directly pass it to the smart contract to verify. So this making it simple, so just re-editing it again. You need to verify the proof on ZK verify. You should use with aggregation function, and you should communicate it to the Horizen testnet. And you should have a smart contract deployed on Horizen testnet, which can call the verify aggregation function. So for the you can get the contact address, or you can just click on this contract and proxy, you can get that address and you can just call over that. Yeah, that's one step. Any doubts?
Short and sweet.
Cool. Then we can move to the bounties.
Yeah, let's move to
Interesting
bounties.
part.
That's
I'm very mad with this one.
what people are hacking for, right?
So, as I told, so we need to keep the ZKF and Horizen like kind of tied together. So we have some mixed bounty as well. And if you are not part of the mixed bounty price pool, then you can be on the separate one where, based on how you use Horizen or how you use ZK Verify, they can give you bounties. So if you build something that uses ZK Verify and you verify the aggregation on Horizen, these are the two prices you're eligible for. If you're building something on Horizen, it can be on ZK Verify, it cannot be. It's up to your choice. And if you're not part of the hybrid bounty, you can be part of both of these. And the similar thing happens with ZK Verify. You can either choose to go with Horizen and ZK Verify. And if like if you've included both of it and you're not part of the first price pool, you can be part of this. Yeah. And there are some ideas that we kind of sampled up with the BG team. So these are kind of the main focusing areas that we're trying to do right now. So you can deploy some private DeFi applications. So you want a lot of private applications on Horizen. And the main priority right now is DeFi. So private transactions, private swaps, private ZDB protocols, anything. We've been doing a lot of ZK games recently, if you follow ZK Verify. So we have this weekly games like coming up every Monday to say. Even on the developers for that. So if you build some private or verifiable gaming using ZK Verify and Horizen, you can do that. And similar to that, BD teams wants a lot of applications which can prove like proof of membership, wealth, work experience. So you can use ZK and try with Rallymo, ZK passports, like yeah, like they all of those like use graph 16 SIGCOMM circuits, so it is like easily verifiable, and that's is for private ML. So we have been doing a lot of stuff around ZKML and TEML. So if you want to do something on AI, you're happy to do that. And the last addition, I was not able to add it here. If you want to do something on ATE and then verify it on ZK Verify, you can do that as well. So now we support. Yeah, so now basically you can do any computation with ATE. So I suggest go with either Fala, Aluminum, those. And then you can verify the tier distribution, wrap it with RISC-0 or SP1 and verify it on ZK Verify. And you can link it to Horizen, so it's okay. So yeah.
For the TEE, what's stopping you from just verifying the ECDSA signature? So you can just literally sign and then just do EC recover or something like.
No, for TEE, what we want to do is we want to check the actual vendor certificates, Intel certificates. Like these are like X509 certificates.
Yeah, but then you can also use that and then sign with. You can hash it and then sign like with an ECDSA signature.
Yeah, but there's a controlling party, right, who needs to hold that key.
Yeah, but I mean, you can also create like a public key for like let's say you have the ETH private key plus like the enclave signature.
Mm-hmm.
You can use like the ETH thing to so it's like a double signature, and you put the public key on ETH and just EC recover.
Then who will handle the private key for that?
So that the T can you put in the TE also?
Yeah, but like every time you run the TE, the private key will change.
Yeah, but I mean like you can associate like a fixed one, but then there's like a trust assumption on that.
Exactly. So we don't want to have it. We want to completely eliminate that. And we can actually do that for if you want to build a large DeFi application right now. That's the only way to go right now.
Yeah.
But like this is just an exploration on how to do that.
Okay, I see. So you're basically going to use like the TE signature verify RISC-0 and use like the decap nodes. Okay, makes sense.
Maybe just one thing to add on from the BD side, right? How we are supporting the DevRel team is also to put together different grants, right? I know as hackers, that's something you guys look out for. So, for example, because ZK Verify is like the end of the ZK stack in some ways, right? Verification is. The beauty of that is that we can work with any ZK apps or ZK chains out there, right? So if there is a dying need for you guys, like maybe you have a dying passion to build on a certain chain or certain app using a certain circuit of sorts, right? We can share it with us, and then we can take a look on how we can collaborate with the chains, right? To see how we can bring that hackathon or that bounty to you guys. So that's some beauty of being at the end of the stack. Not bounded. Like everything you see here actually needs not to be bounded by this, right? Our whole goal of ZK Verify is to verify all kinds of proof, right? So I think of you guys like our hands and legs on the ground, right? Maybe you want to build on S-Stack. Yeah, go do that, right? Build the best app there. If you want to do it on RISC-0, sure, right? So don't just be limited to, okay, maybe for this hackathon, sure, like everything here is set in stone. But in the future, don't be limited by the proving circuits that we work with, because on our tech team as well, we are improving all of that. And BD side also, we want to pull in all these partners so that it makes sense for you guys.
And the last thing to talk about is last month we kind of did a DAO voting on the Horizen grant program, and it's like passed, and we'll be launching it live on 13th of August. And all the winners of this hackathon will be like kind of a high priority for the grants program. And so just some details of this, like you can always go for Horizen Zen IP and you can get this whole thing. But like per project we are funding like from $50,000 to $100,000 in Zen tokens. And then these are some of the priority order of the projects that we want to have on Horizen. So you have the privacy-centric DeFi systems, as I told. We are trying to look into private transactions, swaps, CDPs, everything. AIML, as I told, then gaming, and then it has to have governance. And a very similar kind of program will be coming for ZK Verify as well. Once we have the TG launched very soon, we'll have that as well for ZK Verify.
Nice.
Yeah, I guess like the 50K, when like just really to clarify, you're putting like 50K in Zen tokens is as of when? Because it will very likely fluctuate.
It will be given at that snapshot of time.
So it's like at the point of give because or it's like going to be a fixed amount because they say it's capped at 200,000 Zen, but for example, like the 200,000 Zen is now down to hell and then and so it's like it's still going to be capped at 200,000 Zen, but like it's not going to be 50,000 or something, right?
So basically, it will be given on a snapshot, like whenever the grants are released, at that particular date and at the time slots, whatever price of Zen we have, it will be released for that.
I see. So you can basically now estimate how much one Zen is right now. Okay, so 1 Zen is 50,000 divided by 200,000. So it's about 20
I'm
cents.
being happy that is the price of Zen.
So yeah,
Yeah.
have a look into this. That's the main thing.
Then your co-founders will exit OTC. Or you're left with a vesting schedule.
But they didn't leave the company for how many years? 8 now? So I don't think they're going to.
You'll be surprised. Celestia basically did that, and that's why a lot of people left. So Celestia had basically I think Celestia, the co-founders OTC out, while all the early employees were left with a 4-year vesting on top of, and so everyone was she's, and I think a number of people left Celestia because of that.
Keep following Horizen. Keep following Rob. He's the co-founder.
Yeah, and I think yeah, it's kind of rough. I think it's see like what's gonna happen with Bro, like Succinct. I'm expecting Succinct to also done. Like I feel like
There should be like a poly market for these things.
yeah, not a poly market. I think it's like a poly chain. Like poly chain capital has been running a lot of this weird like OTC that's and shit. So it's a lot of hanky panky going on once it happens.
That's true.
Yeah.
Any questions?
Yeah, not going to flat, but it's like it's like generally like a risk, especially if they're giving like funds in like the tokens. Yeah, I had that happen.
It's up to you what to do with the tokens.
Yeah.
I had that happen to me with Silicon. Like, so it was like 20 cents and boom, it's like now 2 cents.
For us is to allocate what we agreed with you. And if you want to spend it on games, Nintendo or something like that, it's up to you, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, if anyone has any questions regarding hackathon and the rules, we have the folio page set up and everything. So follow-up Notion page we created for the hackathon.
Yeah, I guess like one very powerful
The announcement blog post as well.
Like I think like one immediate product is for an option for the call on the project funding. So if a grant project gets like tokens, you can send people there as an option. So people can bid against for the grant funding.
Basically, you need to provide some value to Zen token when you do some applications.
Yeah.
That's also one of the criteria to be
a
one of the grantee.
DeFi application for early employees to hedge against their allocation.
That works. Any questions? All good?
Yeah.
Awesome. So we'll start the hackathon at 6:30 and have an official kickoff.
Okay.
And we'll finish it by 7th of August, 6:30 p.m. same time. So 48 hours. We three are here. Whenever any questions, ping us. Anything, relay, Horizen, anything.
Nice. Thank you.
Arman is more with Horizen and more with ZK Verify, but we're here to jointly answer questions.